Today, I'm talking to May Habib. She's the co-founder of a full-stack generative AI platform called Writer. She's an entrepreneur. She splits her time between San Francisco and London, and she's very passionate about this work. And I'm just looking forward to this conversation. So welcome, May.
Good morning, Eben. So excited also.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became interested in this and kind of what you're building.
Sure. Writer is a full stack generative AI platform, which means that, yes, there is a large language model there. It is our own top of the leaderboards for the tests we care about, powerful model, but we don't leave people alone with an API to a strong model. We pair it with a few things folks need. Number one is a knowledge graph of the content, the data, the information that the LLM really needs to produce content that is useful and accurate. It is a set of AI guardrails to make sure what comes out of the LLM is compliant and on brand. It is a real fast time to value set of UI components that allows the enterprise to build the AI into just about any business workflow without having to build the application on top. So that's what we call full stack. My previous company with my co-founder and our early Writer team was in the machine translation space, which is how we discovered transformers, and the rest is history.
And, you were, when we were just talking earlier, you were talking about some of the things that it does and kind of what you're passionate about. So first of all, what is this generative AI thing? Like, and maybe even separate from AI, but what is this that we're talking about? How do you think about it yourself?
Honestly, Eben, I try not to overthink it. This latest crop of AI is very good at three categories of things that previous approaches weren't nearly as good at. Number one is creation and editing of text. So the ability to really produce human sounding content quality, whether it is, marketing content or support content. The second category is the ability to really analyze and research like a person would, being able to look at an Excel spreadsheet and automatically produce the most interesting trends about it, be able to look through that company's knowledge graph and answer really in-depth questions about that data and that knowledge. The third category I like to think about as transforming and repurposing, taking content from one form to another, data from one form to another. And so when you put that all together, the kind of leading edge generative AI is just a real exceptional human assistant. And it's why everyone is so excited. It's absolutely real.
So you think of it as a human assistant. It's an augmentation kind of. What about people who are getting worried? Because I show this to a lot of people and I watch, in fact, my daughter, right? I showed it to her when it kind of first came out. She's 10, she was 9 then. And she looked at it. And as I was showing her how it can write stories and do things, she said, "Oh my gosh, Dad, like this is amazing." Like she really got it. She could see it. And people do. But then later, several hours later that evening, she was kind of laying on her bed and she turned around and she said, Dad, it's kind of a little scary too. And I've found that that's been a really consistent thing that people have said, right? They look at it and they go, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." And then a little while later they go, "But wait a minute, this is scary." So where are you on this kind of, miracle to scary spectrum? And how do you talk to people about this?
Yeah. When I was an analyst, I was at my desk till midnight, just about every single day. And it is really hard today to build a attractive workplace if you can only recruit young people who want to be at their desk at midnight. And the beauty of I think what Writer can do and what this latest crop of AI can do is really invent our workday and our workflow to be creativity first, to be energy first, versus like task and production first. And I think the companies that understand that are going to win talent wars. And I don't think it means, I get asked this question a lot. I don't think it means, and I haven't seen, our customers, our earliest customers are going into their third renewal, Eben. So we've been doing this for a while. And they're not cutting heads. They haven't gotten rid of jobs. The deeper they get in, right, the more transformed these jobs look like. But the underlying function still exists. So I don't think jobs will go away. The way we do our jobs will change and change dramatically. And I think it's a good thing, because what we see is this like real untapping of human potential and human creativity, when a lot of the stuff that, folks can do with their eyes closed, maybe with a lot of coffee, but with their eyes closed, you automate the shit out of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. As I talk to people who have been using this a lot, they are saying it's the ones that kind of feel comfortable using it or kind of getting into it are saying it's great to be able to give it some of the things that would have been a little more repetitive, like someone that's a developer can just say, write this function for me, just do this thing. And it can often just produce the thing, or do this research, or summarize this, or compare these two things. And it kind of, as you're saying there, it kind of frees up a little more frees up more attention to be creative. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And, we can't fall asleep at the wheel here, right? There is the use cases to work on first, especially with, a skeptical audience, are the use cases where it's blatantly obvious when the answer is wrong. And when the experts running the workflow, can tell when the answer is wrong. We definitely advise customers to load up on subject matter experts when they are implementing generative AI, because the bar is even higher, right, on making sure that the answer is right when you're using AI to come to the answer. But I think the real frontier use cases are in really helping people be more creative as well. So it's important to know what you're using AI for, and which category of skills you want it to do, because the way you tune it and who you put in the workflow, how you design the workflow, all of that is pretty context dependent.
Hey, quick question for you. What are you learning from this interview? And what do you want to learn next? Well, you probably want to stay ahead of the curve with AI just like we want to, and we want to be your top resource for interesting, cutting-edge AI tools and knowledge here on Metamind. We're finding and interviewing interesting experts from different worlds, different industries, and then we're using this knowledge so we can keep up with AI and improve our success, improve our quality of life. So stay with us on this journey. So first, click on the subscribe button, which you'll find under the video, so that YouTube puts this into your feed when we release new interviews with AI experts. And if you're enjoying this interview, please give me a like to let others know that this is the real deal. And also, if you know someone who's interested in what we're talking about here, then send this interview to them so that they can learn with you. And I also want to hear from you. So go down to the comments below and let me know, what's your favorite prompt or prompting technique? What are your favorite AI resources or tools? What are you learning from this conversation? Do you disagree with anything we're saying here? And also, what else would you like to learn? Who would you like me to interview here on Metamind? All right, well, go and subscribe, leave me a comment below, and back to our interview. Yeah. So you're saying load up on subject matter experts so that when you're training your AI and when you're refining it, that it's giving answers that you feel good about, you feel confident about, that are really serving your clients. Yeah. Any other reasons? I haven't heard anyone say load up on subject matter experts. It's just interesting. Talk a little more about that. Why would you want to do that as a strategy?
Well, I went deep on this with a customer, Tech Target, actually. Their CMO is quite brilliant and innovative there, and we've seen this repeated. But she put it really really concretely for us. If you've got let's say, and let's take marketing examples. So you've got editors who are professional editors who are excellent at editing. And what they had been doing for years is, taking stuff from writers and making sure it's ready to ship. It's, editorially correct, it's interesting, it's on brand, all that good stuff. But now your writers have a fancy new AI tool called Writer. And they're using it to help draft these first drafts. Now your editor has to actually, in addition to structure and editorial and voice, needs to also have an eye to thesis and conclusion and premise. And so you are hiring more senior people, maybe fewer people over time or going forward, but they are they're greater experts, but when you couple that with what is happening, that, customers are needing fewer on a go forward basis, junior employees, I think it's going to present a really interesting challenge. How do you produce senior subject matter experts if there are no or fewer junior level, entry level jobs? So we are seeing people be a lot more intentional about creating, entry-level programs and roles on their teams, even when, AI can do the job just as well.
What is creativity?
I think it's putting together, it's the space to put together ideas in novel ways, ideas that may not belong together. Which is why these products can be such incredible thought partners, because they're just putting one word in front of the other without a thought to like necessarily the underlying ideas, right? Sort of like when your kid says something and you're like, wow, that's actually pretty funny,
Right. Yes.
You're at Trader Joe's and I put something in the cart and my 4-year-old said, nice rice ice. And I said, that is really nice rice ice, and it was just like hilarious. I just didn't think to put those 3 words together. And sometimes, an LLM will spit something out that your toddler would have said, but it's interesting and funny. Well, what's creativity to you?
Well, the root of creativity is to create, right? And so I think if you're not making something that's cool and novel at the end, then you haven't been creative. I don't think that it's just like, it's just making stuff up in your head or like, ideas basically. So I think that there's like a, it seems
disagree.
easy. Let me finish.
Okay,
I agree. Great. It seems easy to take an idea and make it real, but it's actually hard. So my little squiggle on what you said there, my little mustache on your Mona Lisa, is that there's some element of you got to make something too. But go, disagree.
Yeah, I think, and we're seeing this. I mean, it's in the title of this podcast, right? In prompt engineering or whatever, this field becomes, this role becomes. I think you can be creative in the way you ask a question, and that's creativity too. Producing.
Yes.
I feel like you're describing producing, you're conflating creativity and production. And I think thinking, creativity, and production are all 3 different, very separate processes that are actually happening between our brain and our fingers. Depending on what you're doing in the context, the emphasis on one or the other, or choosing not to use AI in one or the other, I think we're going to get a lot more sophisticated.
Yeah, well, part of it too, it's interesting hearing your thought here of, right, we need more kind of subject matter experts. A lot of people are saying, you hear them kind of saying, well, this is going to take my job, or this is going to replace me. Or, I mean, even developers, like I work with several developers, and I'm even starting to hear them say, oh my God, this thing just is demonstrating, like even recently here, the last couple of months, some of the things that it's starting to be able to do in terms of coding and so forth. So they're starting to worry, like data analysts. So it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Well, for me, it's the more creative you can be, the more you can develop your kind of aesthetic sense of whatever it is you're trying to make, develop your taste, then you can use these tools to accelerate all of that stuff. So to me, yeah, creativity, however we're defining it there, but like creating cool ideas, making cool stuff, also collaborating on kind of creativity, it just becomes more and more and more important into the future that we're going into, I think.
I agree. I agree with that. I think it's going to be more important.
And so it sounds like you're building some really interesting and cool technology. What is it? So what does a person sit down and use it for? And then like, how is it different from, let's say, ChatGPT or, using some other tool in some way?
How is using Writer different than using ChatGPT?
Yeah. In other words, what's unique about, because it sounds like you've got a kind of flavor or a certain personality to what you're making here. And it sounds like you've been thinking about it. So like, what is the distinction? I mean, I think most people, when they think of AI, they just go AI and they put it all in one bucket. It sounds like you're making your own personality version of it or something.
Well, customers certainly can customize it and you make it sound like them. That's one of many things. I think the core of it is it's a platform to build complete solutions. And I'll give you an example. You've got someone internally who builds, everyone now is building their own internal GPT. Amazing. The reality though, when you dig deeper, it's really well suited to maybe one or two use cases. So allowing employees to query an internal knowledge base, allowing a support agent to automatically ask questions of its Salesforce, helping a salesperson pass some licensing exam. But there are thousands of different questions that, when paired with generative AI, can really unlock business value inside of a company. We give technology teams a single platform to be able to create all of those applications and answers. A simple way to think about it is, whether it's ChatGPT or an internal tool, let's say you've set it up to return, 2 sentences plus an excerpt. But actually what you really want are 2 sentences plus an excerpt, plus like the client ready paragraph that you can email, plus like a PDF from the archive that you can send with your email. That's one of literally thousands of things folks may want to do with a GPT or a generative AI kind of Q&A product. And they can do that on Writer without needing to, put hundreds of people against it and spend years doing it.
So in other words, right now I sit down at, ChatGPT or Bard or whatever, and I can ask it questions, and it's been trained on kind of loosely everything. So it's going to come up with this kind of average of everything kind of answer. If I understand what you're saying, you would help a company who has a particular kind of expertise, knowledge base, IP, get all that in there so that they have their own version, so that their team or their customers can then kind of talk to their knowledge base rather than talking to the world.
That's one set of use cases. Like that's in the analyze and research bucket. In create and edit, it's a different set of user experiences tied to a different balance of techniques. So it is a LLM and NLP tool belt that you put on top of a foundation model to get it to do what you want, from like responding to an RFP to generating a brief after you talk to a candidate in HR.
Tell me about a few of those use cases. I mean, interesting to learn about. And for anyone listening that, would be a potential good client, we can like smuggle in a sales pitch.
Yeah, totally. We've got healthcare customers who are using Writer to basically analyze when a claim comes in, an insurance claim comes in, for example, be able to automatically go through a record and pull up the important and relevant items from that patient's medical records. We've got customers in retail who use us to automatically produce all of the digital content that needs to accompany a SKU in a way that is customized for each of the different platforms that they are selling on, from Amazon to Sephora. We've got customers who are automatically watching YouTube videos that influencers put up and mining for insights to send over to R&D. So it's a real plethora of use cases. What we go in and what our methodology is to really train people to think about the categories of use cases that AI can be infused into. And then we train people on, how to use Writer to basically create those use cases.
Okay, quick action step here. So the key is learning how to prompt better. You start out prompting by just asking questions and talking to AI like it's a helper, but you quickly realize that getting better at prompting is a huge accelerator and game changer for your own success in life. So these prompts will not only help you get a lot more done faster and accelerate your success, but they'll also help you really get prompting and get better at it. You can get all of these as a gift from me just by going to metamind.co/gift. That's metamind.co/gift, and I'll put that link below, and then just opt in to get it. I've also created a powerful video for you called AI in the Future of Business and Work and Success that demonstrates some of the key mindsets and prompting strategies to help you get up to speed and get a lot more out of generative AI. And it's also included as a free gift when you register. So just head over to metamind.co/gift to get your AI Accelerator Prompt Pack and the other free goodies. All right, back to our interview. What's going to happen over the next few years with generative AI? Like what are we on the verge of here? Because it feels like this is just the beginning of something really. Like what happens in a year, 2, 3, 4, 5? What happens?
100%. I just posted on this morning that the pace of change is the disruption. And if you don't get used to the pace of change, that is being left out. Not, am I using this tool or that tool? Like, do I have this engineer or that engineer? But it is literally getting used to this pace of skill acquisition that is the new normal. And so what I can tell you is with certainty that the pace will continue to feel as frenzied and as hurried. I think, the things that folks predicted out, 2 to 5 years are already happening today. The stuff that we've got coming out end of this year is just mind-blowing. And the only thing I think that we can be certain of is that the pace will continue, perhaps accelerate.
What are the skills that people should learn right now? What are kind of future-proof skills that people can start developing and thinking about for this
I love
new
that
world?
question. Yeah, I love that question. I think when I look at the most innovative customers and who's driving that posture internally, they tend to just be really open-minded, lifelong learner types, and all flavors, all parts of the company, all ages that we have seen. I think some of the most interesting stuff is folks who this is their 4th platform disruption that they have lived through. And it's that open-mindedness and ability to continually be learning new things that I think is the skill to build a moat around.
Yeah, that pace. You're right. You're totally right on. I've been holding up this, and this a lot because, this is 10 years, 12 years kind of apart. And we don't remember that it took 10 or 12 years for this to happen, but this is like happening every year now, and I really, I feel what you're saying there. That's it. And lifelong learning, learning, the ability to learn and like adaptation, right? That's really, that's key.
Yeah.
So you told me earlier, you're passionate about equity. What is equity?
I think equity is a fair shot at building a really good life for yourself. And my co-founder and I were really united by this passion that this belief that the language you were born speaking shouldn't define the kind of life that you had. And for both of us, Arabic was our first language. I learned it as a girl when my family immigrated to Canada, and Wasim taught himself English at 20. And, we worked for years. They were statistical and then RNN networks and then transformers. We worked on a machine translation problem. And for me now, I think AI's got 100x the potential to both increase and decrease the amount of equity in the world. And we work really hard to make sure we're building a product that can be easily adopted by anybody. And so when we go into an enterprise, the kind of enterprise product adoption rates that people have, even the consumer AI adoption rates that companies have, not going to cut it. It's not going to cut it in terms of enabling everybody to really be AI enabled. Those are going to be the skills that will be necessary to get good jobs and not be replaced by people who are really good at it. And so, that passion really continues in Writer, and it's what's been driving us. I think most entrepreneurs need something that is inextricably linked to their identity, that they can continue to draw from for the energy required to do this. And, for me and for us, the early team and my co-founder, it is this concept of equity.
Yeah, you also, in our chat, we're talking about working with a team and the power and why that's so important. Why do you love working with a team, and why do you love kind of team entrepreneurship?
Oh, I love that. I'm going to steal that, Eben. Team entrepreneurship. I mean, of course, you can't do entrepreneurship alone. It's just dead on arrival. I love team entrepreneurship. There are so many CEOs at Writer. And I think that is, it's just so powerful to be able to have a team that is, high excellence, high throughput, autonomous, connected, connect, challenge, own our cultural values. And I think really deeply seated in a team that has, stayed together and worked together for a long time. It's just so much more fun to practice with the team.
Yeah. Well, it is. Well, and it's more challenging, it's more interesting, and you have a team. You have other people to do it with, to go through the experience, of course. Where can someone learn more about you and about Writer?
Thank you. We are at writer.com. We are hiring everything: AI, engineering, NLP, go-to-market. I'm May at Writer. If you're interested in working here. If you're interested in hearing what we've got and how the product works and what we do, what our customers are seeing success with, it's May at Writer also. I'll send you to the right place.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time, May.
Thank you, Eben.
So thank you for watching another Metamind AI interview. Remember to keep practicing prompting, keep learning, get our prompt pack and quick start video. Watch our other videos to learn from other AI experts, and stay tuned to us here on Metamind. Stay subscribed, because this is going to get really interesting.